Good morning, guys. I'm April Freeman here at the Richmond Public Library, and I am here with the critically acclaimed, phenomenal writer, Quan. Quan, introduce yourself.
My name is Kawan, and I write a little bit.
Just a little bit? Just a little bit? No, okay. So, could you tell us here at the library and the readers that come and get all your books, because your books go off the shelf constantly. Can you tell us a little bit about just your catalog and you as a person, a writer?
Well, my catalog is technically classified street fiction, urban fiction, but I feel it's more crime, hard boiled, but a place for everything and everything in its place. It has been a very unconventional one, with my first book deal being by accident. My second book was on a dare, and then the majors came calling. So I just been kind of pushing them out for, I think this is my, 2020? My 18th year as a published author.
Okay. So is it right? Is being an author and writing is something that you aim to do?
And it wasn't in the beginning, no. The first book was something I was writing for therapeutic purposes. And it was supposed to be just a one and done thing. And my publisher at the time, because I'm a Sagittarius and we're kind of ego driven, so my publisher at the time was like, they're saying that you're a one-hit wonder and you can't write another book. I said, man, I can do this. It's easy. So I did Road Dogs. And by the time I put Street Dreams out, I had developed a genuine love for words, for writing. And I kept going. It was like turning on a faucet that I could not turn off.
So do you feel like that is a gift, or have you learned how to structure your writing more, or have you took classes, or have you utilized tools, so you just feel like it's a gift?
One day I just sat down and the end result was gangster. And it's like, my mom was a writer.
Oh, for real?
And I didn't discover my writing until she got sick, because I needed a constructive way to vent. So I started dabbling with writing, and my first book was actually started based off an argument. I was having with my daughter's mother. God bless her. That was she was arguing. I don't even remember what we were arguing about. I had a piece of a brown paper bag, and I started characterizing her as true of a character in a novel, and kind of started going from there. And I never took any lessons. I never even had any interest in writing at all. I didn't have an interest in writing until my third book.
Okay.
But like I said, my mom was a writer, so it was like the closer she came to the end, the stronger my gift became. So I always said that was her parting gift to me before she died. Yeah. She gave me something that was the most valuable thing that she had, which was that gift.
And you utilizing it. Oh, she should be. Oh, I know she's tremendously proud of that. And I do. I mean, I believe in that though. She passed on that to you. Do you find writing energetic or exhausting?
It depends. It depends. Like sometimes I can be really into a story and it's just giving me life, and then sometimes it's like a chore. I find that when I'm on a deadline is when it's a chore. Like, cause I self-publish, and I'm published through several major publishing houses. So because like again, it's the Sagittarius thing. If you tell us left, we automatically go right. So it's just something in my head. If you tell me, Kawan, I need this book by this day, my brain refuses to accept it because I feel like I'm being told what to do, even though it makes absolutely no sense to anybody else but me. So, but I think for the most part, I find energy and I find strength in it. Because it's like magic. Whenever you're creating magic, it's that energy.
So do you think that your self-publishing books, the books that you was able to creatively write and didn't have a particular date, is more, I don't want to say better, but more, but better than the ones that, you had this crunch time?
I give 1,000% to my stories, whether it's self-published or with a major. But I think that there's less pressure for my independent stuff.
So
because I'm like, because with the stuff with the majors, like, okay, I don't want to disappoint these people that have given me the opportunity.
exactly.
And with my independent stuff, it's like I'm just writing because it's fun. This is what I love to do.
But do you think you perform better during crunch time? Because I think I do, even though I hate it. But I'd be like, but when I'm over, I'm like, God, I really, you know, I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Like when I get close, it usually always kicks in. Now they give you these deadlines sometimes 6 months out. My thing, it kicks in a month before the book is due. I'll be sitting down and trying to come up with it, and I'll start doing something else. I'll start writing something for about a month. It's like a switch flips, and I'll be sitting here in the same clothes for days, and I won't move, and I'll be going. So I think the pressure is a gift and a curse.
Yeah, it is. It is. Is your writing still therapeutic for you?
Very much so. Very much so, because as writers, we live in our head. I live more in these worlds that I create than I do in the real world. It was kind of like my safe place, when I'm in these stories, it's my safe place where I control the dynamics and the rules of this universe that I have built. I am the master of all I survey.
But do you feel like sometimes when you live in your head, like I tell people all the time, because people say that you're so direct, especially here at work, you're so direct, but if I release what I really think, like what's really going on in my head, it would be a whole nother story. So do you think that living in your head sometimes can be exhausting or sometimes be a sickness?
I think sometimes it's
not controlled.
It's not necessarily healthy to spend so much time living in my head, because you become detached from the real world. When you out of this headspace, it's like an adjustment. An example of what I mean is time passes differently for me. Like for me, like it can be a week. A week may have passed in the real world, but to me, it's only been a day or a couple of hours. Like I'm like, whoa, wow, it's Friday already. To me, it's still Tuesday. So the time passes differently.
So how do you balance that?
It took a long time to be able to balance it, because sometimes, let's say if I'm writing about a character like K-Dog, who was in Road Dogs, and he was just had a nasty disposition, certain traits subconsciously manifest themselves. So I'm walking around with an attitude like a dog, and I'm not even realizing that subconsciously I'm still in character. I have not completely come out of this fog of this character. So, but over the years, I learned to balance it. Like my daughters used to ask me, and this is what kind of brought it to my attention. They were like, "Do you even still live here?" And it's like, I'm here, I'm in the house, but I'm not here. And they understand that, like, you can be talking to me, and I'm just, and I'm saying yes, but I'm not really processing what you're saying to me.
Yeah. Okay. All your books intertwine, right?
Yeah, and that's not intentional. That's not something I do intentionally at all.
But okay, with that question, because I noticed that when I see you different posters or in different book groups and people, but do you necessarily have to read the first one in order to catch up on the 15th one?
You mean as from a reader perspective? Or
can you just jump in on the 15th book or the 12th book and know what's going on?
Without
having to read number one, start from gangster and all.
It depends, because all of the storylines all the storylines can stand on their own.
That's what I meant.
Recurring characters, and there may be certain events that took place. Let's say Animal, for instance. You started from the Animal series, which is book one in his official series. It's like Animal's just on this rampage, and it's a separate story, and you know what's going on, but you're like, well, why is he so angry, and how did he get shot? So then you have to go back to the Hood Rat series, where he originally was a co-star, to understand his.
So what's the first book? Because I started with Animal, and I thought that was the first, but they were like, that's not the first book. I'm like, what?
It's not. Animal first appeared in the Hood Rat series. He was not supposed to be a main character. Animal was supposed to be a sub character who was going to die at the end of that book. But he took on a life of his own, and began to grow. Like, and I always say, my characters, I determine who I'm going to write about by who's yelling the loudest in my head. And Animal's story just kind of came to the forefront. And then, and he was such an impact. And I don't feel like I was able to say everything in section 8.
Mm-hmm.
And then he made such an impact, people always ask him about animals, so I gave him a slightly larger role in a welfare piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
By the time you got to eviction notice, Hood Rat storyline had become about animals. I said, no, this isn't good. I have to make him separate and apart. So you can go back, and then there's other stuff like with Shy. Shy has a certain demeanor in these Hood Rat books, which you didn't understand. Like in Hoodlum, Shy was the good kid, Papa's son, fun-loving basketball guy, like to flirt with girls and all that stuff. But in the Hood Rat series, he was colder, more calculated, more like a kind of like an ass. It was like, well, why is he like that? But then you would have to go back to Hoodlum 2 to understand the circumstances and the things that happened to him in Hoodlum 2 that made him like that. So it's the timeline. And I always tell people, don't pay attention to the publication date, pay attention to the timeline of the story.
Okay.
An example of what I mean is there's a scene in Road Dogs came out after Gangster, but there's a scene in Road Dogs where K-Dog meets Lulok and Gutter, and he's like, welcome to New York. And people are like, I don't understand because the book came out after. Road Dogs timeline starts in 1995. Gangster timeline starts in 2002. So it's all the timeline.
That makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. So with that being said, you don't do it intentionally, but is your next book going to still bring up, pull something from the past, or
you know what I mean? It always depends, and it's like I guess it's never intentional. I may get to a certain point in the book, because I write like I write different. I write like building a patchwork quilt. I may be writing, and I'll get halfway into the book, and I'll decide that chapter 10 would be better as chapter 3. Now, when I do this and I take chapter 10 and I move to chapter 3, I have to start from the beginning of the book and weave everything together accordingly.
Okay.
So sometimes there's certain characters I feel like, you know what, this character may be a good look. Like with Black Lotus, I put Black Lotus. I had written the Black Lotus stories years before Animal, but I said, you know what, it would be a nice curveball if I was able to insert the Black Lotus character into this book as his adopted sister.
Okay.
And I had to build a story around that to make the connection. So it's never intentional. It's just like I have these aha moments sometimes. And I'll say, you know what, this character would be dope in here. Let me weave it in. And then I have to go back, and that may lead to a whole nother story because I added one character and it changed the dynamics of this whole universe and the timeline. So it leads to another story.
So do you ever do you have the ending before you have the beginning or the plot, or?
Sometimes. I think the only time I did that was with Gutter. I wrote the end first. With Animal 5, I wrote the end first. And I think those were the only two.
Okay.
And then I just created this story around them. But for the most part, sometimes it can be a phrase that will inspire a story. Like I was sitting outside one day, and this is back in the days when I was still hanging out and being places that I had no business being. And it was this little dude out there talking to the fiend so crazy. He was reckless abandon, and he was like, yo, MF is lying the F up. Everybody gonna get served. And that is kind of how I opened Street Dreams. I remember sitting there looking at him like, yo, dude, you were so reckless. Like, you're this little bitty dude talking to these grown people like that, but because they were addicts and he had what they needed, they allowed it. I was kind of psychoanalyzing that, like, how far down the rabbit hole do you have to slide before you lose your self-respect and allow yourself to be talked to in any kind of way?
Exactly. Yeah. Especially a grown. Someone probably could have been his granddaddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the way it is. You know, you become when people see you when you're an addict, people see you as less of a person. You're not human.
Yeah. So have you ever wrote like anonymously under another name?
Yes.
You did?
Yes. I was on, let me tell you something. I was on the Essence bestseller list at the same time under 3 different names once.
For real?
Yeah.
Are you gonna tell us? Are you not?
No.
Okay.
I think I told you. I think I might have told you when.
Yeah, I think you did. I just can't remember. I can't remember. Was one of them a female name?
Yeah.
Okay. I think do you still do that?
No, you know why I stopped? And the last time I did it for my fantasy series.
Okay.
And the reason that it was suggested that I write under a pen name is because carved I had carved such a niche for myself in urban fiction genre that the publisher did not think that people would take me, hoodie, fitted hat, and all that stuff seriously as a fantasy writer. And so I wrote the books under a pen name. And I think it kind of took away some of the magic, stole a little bit of the joy. I mean, it's still me. And people that knew my writing can kind of pick it out. And I was like, going forward, when I became more popular, I said, well, why do I have to write under a pen name? Why can't I just receive my flowers for everything that I'm doing under my name?
Okay. Yeah.
Because one of my pen names is a white woman. I'm like, why do I have to recreate myself? Why can't this little black boy from Building 875 in Douglas Projects be as proficient as a fantasy writer as he is as an urban writer?
Have you ever this is like to me and you, have you ever had any like big ups or just good writing from legendary writers, like
Yeah.
in different genres, white, let's say white people.
Yeah.
Like
I was this is so crazy, and this happened to me recently. I mean, I received my flowers from a lot of different writers, OG writers, but I think the biggest and most surprising thing was from Walter Mosley. And because I am a Walter Mosley I stand for Walter Mosley. We were in Houston.
How did that happen? Tell me that story.
We were in Houston together at the National Black Book Festival. Now, this wasn't my first time being in the same room with him.
Okay.
But I had always seen him, and I'm like, I can't run up on Walter Mosley. I'm just like watching him from across the room. So at this particular time, everybody knows I love Walter Mosley. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to approach Walter Mosley today. And I forget how I got. I said, I took my hat off and I said, listen, I'm to meet you. My name is Kawan. And he was like, I know who you are. He called me. He said he called me the Wrath of Quan because I was pushing my book Wrath. He was like, you're Wrath. You're the Wrath of Quan. I know who you are. And I'm like, get out of here. You don't know who I am. And he was like, no, I do. And we chopped it up, and it was such a humbling experience. And it was so nice. It was crazy. Walter Mosley was actually signing copies of my book for people at this festival. And I don't think nobody even peeped it. He ran out of his own books. He just started signing mine and giving them to people. And I'm like,
oh, that's dope.
And he wrote something, and let me see if I have the book right here by me so I can read you the quote. God damn it, it would be now. And if I had it on you going to ask me that question, I would have made sure I had the book on hand. And it was like a quote, and it was like personal to me, and it let me know, like, okay, I don't even know what damn book
is. It's okay.
Like, wow, he really is aware of me.
Oh my God, that's such a yeah, I love him. I had so many questions, but the next question is and since I've been working in the library, I noticed that a lot of what they call critical acclaim authors, they write in all genres. Like I didn't know that, like teen sci-fi, like James Patterson, like he has books in every genre besides urban fiction, of course, in this library. Do you see yourself doing that? Like maybe children's, teens, young adults, juvenile?
That is the goal. That has always been the goal. Like, why limit yourself to one thing, to one subject? We are writers, we are creative, we are scholars. We should be able to write about anything that we choose, anything that we put our mind to. And this is what made me do it. Well, I started out writing fantasy. And I think the thing that was different, and I don't know if I would call my fantasy stuff YA. But they were like teens, like college teens, like freshmen, college teens. And all the characters were Native American, Hispanic, African American, so on and so forth. So
I would love to see that.
I definitely want to go on and do stuff like that. Like I actually DC Comics had kind of tapped into me not so long ago to try to do some. They have like these graphic novels for teens and young adults, and they were trying to I was trying to do some stuff over there. So like I want to have my hands in a little bit of everything, but I want to write whatever my heart desires.
Because I know that's big here, and I know they was like, well, they put me to the urban fiction guru here. But anyway, they was like, well, which author do you see can do that? I said, probably Quan. I said, if you ever read his books, I said, I can see him, because most of their books that they come in and get is either like science, you know what I'm saying, that fantasy stuff.
Uh-huh.
So I can definitely see you doing that. Do you ever consider see yourself like, how like some authors, they start having people like, I guess they publish the people, but their names are still on the book. You know what I mean? James Patterson is one. He has like, or to the point that I don't think he necessarily have to write no more. Do you ever see yourself being in that position?
To where I'm having other authors write the story and I'm just putting my name on the book?
Yeah, basically.
God, no, absolutely
Okay.
no.
Like,
And I know that there are authors that do it, and I don't knock them for it.
Mm-hmm.
An author I know had actually suggested it to me one time, and I got so offended and so hostile.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, when my hands no longer move is when I said I would never take credit for something that someone else has done. Are you crazy? Like, I feel like that's blasphemy to me, just speaking personally, because I feel like I still have so much left in the tank. And when and if that time comes where I feel like my story is getting redundant or I don't have it anymore, I'll find something else to do. But I would never. And and I've had people like from jail, like, I'll sell you this story flat out for $1,500, which is peanuts to sell your story flat out. I'm like, nah, dude, like, I can't. It just wouldn't feel right to me. It just was not. It just wouldn't feel good. It's just icky. You know what I mean?
And I think sometimes authors or inspiring authors do it because they think that it will get more sales if So it's like I feel like it's both sides is using the other side. It's just who's gonna come out on top. You know what I mean? Because they're using him because of his name, and they know the book's gonna fly on the shelf and they're gonna be put everywhere. But he's using them to get a little bit of the, you know what I'm saying? But anyway,
something. I don't mean to cut you off, but something close to that is like when I was publishing authors, right? I would have my name big on the cover, like Kawan Presents. So when you see my name, it'll get you to pick up the book because you're familiar. Like, I'm not the writer; it just says Kawan Presents, and then it has the author name at the bottom. And the authors were like, yeah, we want to be under the Kawan banner. And what I had to explain to authors, and what some of them had to find out the hard way, it's like, look, people will see my name and pick the book up, but it's you. Your pen game has to. You are responsible for keeping the readers engaged. I can get you the attention. I can get you the look. But ultimately, it's your story that has to keep the readers engaged.
True. Do you mentor people?
Yeah, whenever I can.
Okay. Do you write forwards for people?
I'm actually writing. I don't do it much, but I'm actually writing one now for somebody. Those rare occasions, like if I'm feeling the project or just whatever the motivation is behind the project, maybe. But generally, no. I don't like to do blurbs. I don't like to do forwards. I don't like to do.
Yeah, because you known as one of those no nonsense, cut to the chase type of authors, which I respect about you. Do you have any questions for us at the library? I mean, how important is the library for you?
My God, the library, and I always say this: the library is you guys are the oil in the squeaky wheel. People don't realize that libraries are incredibly important because, for one, it's a safe space for some people that they come into the library and read. And another thing, like, not everybody always has it in the budget to buy books, right? So sometimes you got to go to the library, you check out a book, and you read a book. And that's how you discover new authors. And you guys are educators. You guys are just as important as teachers to me. Because it's like you're hipping students. Like let's say if somebody comes into the library and what got them in there was a Kawan book, but now when they were looking for something else, for you may say, well, how about you try Alice Walker? Of an Alice Walker, and then so it goes on from there. So it's like a stepping stone. And you guys are like the guides. You guys are like the guides of creativity. You are the ones who guide them through this reader space.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true, and I also think that readers put us on to y'all newer stuff. Like if we don't have it and we don't know about it, Then they was like, well, what about his new book? Y'all ain't get that. And then I'd be like, okay, what is it? Show me. And I'd be like, okay, let me see if I can order it. You know what I'm saying? So that it's like, yeah, I definitely agree with that. What does success look like to you? This is probably the last question. What does success look like to you? And do you feel like you have reached it in your field that you are in?
I'm nowhere near it. Let me tell you something. This is just, I've sold probably collectively like 1 million books, probably more, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is just this much of it. It's just a blip. I think success to me, and some people say success is the big house and it's the jewelry and it's the fancy cars. And no, success is, all right, I'm good. My bills is paid. My kids' college is paid for. Everybody in the house has health coverage, you know, and we are content. We are happy. That's success to me. To not have to worry. I mean, everybody's gonna worry, but to not have to worry and you're not being swallowed by bills and trying to figure out. Like I said, I got one daughter leaving for college in the summer or whatever, and then I got to figure out how to get the other one in college 2 years later, you know. So success for me is being able to say, oh, I already took care of that. I took care of that. I took care of it before it came. So that is success to me, to be able to make sure that your loved ones are good and the people around you are good, and to make a positive impact on society, to leave the world a better place than when you found it.
And you did that all off of writing?
I've started the process off of writing.
Right. That's all. So, that's good. That is amazing. That, you know, I find it this in all that, you know, a person can actually use their God-given gift or their creative abilities just to live off and be at peace with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's a blessing. It's a blessing. Now, I told you the 9/11 story, right? So you're familiar with the 9/11? So, and that, like I said, that was a sign for me. What are the odds that a plane hits the building the day after I quit my job? Plane hits the building at the same time I would have been in the building on the ground floor.
Oh my God.
So I'm
did you have like did you have to like decompress from that? Did like you had, I mean, like did you have to like, yeah, because I would have been like in the bed for at least 2 days, because I mean It
was the whole experience was crazy. I was working as a junior broker, a junior stockbroker, believe it or not, and I was, you know, getting ready to take my Series 7. So because it's like hazing, like, okay, you the new fish in the office, go get the coffee and the whole office. And I would go into the ground floor of the World Trade Center, the Krispy Kreme, every morning at the same time. It's like 9 o'clock, I think, every morning at the same time. And if you've ever been like on the stock floor, that is a very, very high stress job. I'm talking about.
I just see it and it looks like crazy. I'm like, how they know what they do? What they doing?
Exactly. And I'm just in there overwhelmed. People are screaming. And one day I'm sitting here, and my manager would listen into the calls. And he would always have something to say about how I spoke to you. You're not energetic enough. You're not pushing enough. You're not this. You're not that. You're not this. You're not that. And one day I was like, yo, enough. And he's like, and he's standing there at my desk like, what did you say? And I said, enough. I can't. And I took like my contact cards and I threw them in the air. And I ripped my tie off. And they were like, security. And I'm like, you don't need to call security. I'm leaving. I can't do this. They was like, don't come back, get your check, don't come back, nothing. So I think it was like the next day or maybe 2 days later, I'm knocked out. My baby mom wakes me up like, look, and she's pointing at the news. And I'm half asleep, still trying to process it. The first plane had just hit, and I'm trying to process what's going on. And I remember saying to her, that wasn't an accident. I don't think it was an accident. And then the second plane hit. And then all of a sudden, our house phone, this back when people still use house phones, was ringing off the hook. Everybody's looking for me because they knew.
Yeah, exactly.
And she like, that fool right here, he quit his job the other day.
That fool right here. Yeah. Yes, that was, I believe that nothing happened by accident. So that was, Whew. I'm glad that did happen. I'm glad you did quit. I'm glad you threw those cards up. I'm glad all of that.
And that was the last time I had a regular job. That was 2001.
Yeah, because What has been your most successful book and I'm talking about as far as financially, and then I want to say financially, then as far as readers wise, and that's the last question, I promise.
Financially, I would say reader wise, animal. Always love,
I love some animal.
and I think financially, probably Animal 4.
Mm-hmm.
And because Animal 4 is an independent release.
Okay. So you
So
got, oh.
right. The first 3 were under Cash Money, and don't get me
Mm-hmm.
wrong, Cash Money threw more money at me than a publisher has since then or until then.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it was a good experience. Just, you know, we just had to go our separate ways, and
Mm-hmm.
as part of my severance package, I was given Animal 4 back, and I said, okay,
Okay.
I'm going to self-publish this because I want to see what y'all see. You know,
Exactly. I want to see all of that.
yeah, I was, I was blown away by the numbers.
Mm.
I'm like, well, if I'm making this off one book,
Mm-hmm.
and so this is what y'all are seeing, and so I'm just getting a drop in the bucket compared to what
Exactly. As always, you know, I love you.
y'all.
I
Okay,
support
girl.
all your endeavors. Keep pushing, my brother.
Can I ask you a question before we log off? Because I'm just so curious
Right.
about this. How has the pandemic affected the libraries?
We've been closed a lot. Like you see anybody in here, but the
I
employees.
know, and I was wondering, and I'm
Yes,
like,
we do curbside. And that's basically it. And we about to close again, probably. I mean, we just moved to what phase are we in? Exactly. We don't even know what physical. I mean, we do curbside, which is curbside when patrons come to the door and they ask for different things, and we do online. They can, but we still close to the public, and we probably gonna shut down curbside soon. So probably gonna be at home. But yeah, it's been, yeah.
I just hope that the city, state, or whoever does right by the libraries and make sure
Oh,
that y'all.
he said he hopes that they do right by the library. I'm gonna keep that part in this video.
Yeah, I hope so because man, your libraries are important, and it
Yes,
would be a crying shame, you know, just like they protest for everything else, protest to keep these libraries open.
yes. Thank
Keep
you.
the money coming in, so that way you guys can still function and you guys are furloughed properly and y'all can still take care of yourselves. And so when the time comes to open them doors back open, y'all ain't miss a step. I think that's.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Send my love to the family.
I
And
sure will.
all right. See you. Talk to you soon.
All right, thank you guys.
All right. Bye-bye.